All right. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Um, we are restreaming this on two platforms. If you all can hear me, can I get a thumbs up in the chat? I think we're on a little bit of a 20-second delay, but so if you are on Crowdcast, there is a bit of a delay. So don't panic, because I'm checking it and everything seems to be okay. All right. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our next webinar, or shall I say, a live talk series. And today we'll be talking about small firms practice post MCO, pitfalls and the way forward. As many of you know, there were some changes introduced yesterday, and hopefully the speakers can address that as well. So today we'll be joined by Mr. R. Jayabalan, who's no stranger to the Johor Bar. He's the chairperson of the Small Firms Practice Committee, and then joining him is Puan Nahzatul Ain binti Muhammad Khalid, who is also a member and of the same committee, and also Encik Muhammad Ezri Abdul Wahab. So since we are already on delay, and without further ado, we're going to proceed to the first. Yes, Puan Ain has joined us. So the chronology of speakers that we're going to go is, first we're going to go with Mr. Jaya, and then Mr. Ezri, and then Puan Ain. So I think, to move things along, can we hear from Mr. Jayabalan first, and then subsequently we'll hear from Ezri and Puan Ain.
Thank you, Fadil. First of all, thank you to the Johor Bar for inviting us. Just as an introduction, I'm from the Johor Bar, so it's always a pleasure. Johor Bar is my home bar, so it is always a pleasure when Johor Bar calls us and to answer the call of my home bar. Just to give a bit of background, this seminar was actually first started by the Bar Council Small Firms Practice Committee. We had the first seminar on the 23rd of April, which was basically to identify the problems that the small firms are likely to face once the MCO is lifted and we step into practice. And we know what the changes and all that. We expect that there will be changes for the next 1 to 2 years. How do we prepare small firms for that? This topic is actually now has become more relevant because we all know that on Monday we are going to reopen our office and we are going to dust off our desk, right, and switch on our computers after about 40 over days. So in that sense, this topic will be more relevant now, we believe. This is how we're going to do. The topic itself is small firms practice post MCO, pitfalls and the way forward. We have structured this into 3 parts. I will handle the part on practice management. Encik Ezri, who is also the treasurer of the Malaysian Bar, and also the deputy chair of the Small Firms Committee, will handle office management post MCO. And then Puan Nahzatul Ain, a very senior member of the Small Firms Practice Committee, Puan Ain will handle on the financial management for small firms practice post MCO. So that will be the way we're going to structure the talk for today. And I think I will now start on. I will share my slides. If you have any problem, just let me know. Okay, do we have a view of these slides, Fadil?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. Yes. All right. So we'll continue with that. As I said, I will handle on practice management. So basically what we will see in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so are on two issues. Basically, we know that COVID-19 has been around with us for the last 3 months, and we expect this problem for the next maximum about 1 to 2 years time. Now, what we have seen is that COVID-19 has basically changed the landscape of legal practice, the administration of justice, and also the conventional perception of how legal services are provided. We will see what are the changes that has taken place in these three sectors. And we will also see as to how small firms should adapt to the changes and what are the strategies to move forward in order to stay competitive and to be sustainable. So, three issues. What is the change in the landscape of legal practice? What is the change in the administration of justice? By this, I refer to the courts proceedings. And then our conventional perception of how legal practice are, how legal services are to be provided. Now, what we expect that will happen is this. MCO may be lifted soon, but then again, looking at the dates, we are now entering into the phase of conditional SPO. So we are going to be back to practice, but it will not be the same practice that we experienced before 18th of March. Why? Because I think we know by now that there will be various SOPs that will be put in place by the government, and I suspect by the Bar Council and us by the owners of the firm as well, in order to control the infection and transmission of the pandemic. Some of the issues that I foresee is that we think will have to be included into the SOP would be we'll be limiting our operating hours, our operating days. We may have to look into staff rotation, staff reduction, working from home, social distancing rules, and so on. These are the elements of the SOPs that we will be incorporating in. Uh, we will also experience this. Legal practice will now be conducted in an environment that incorporates social distancing, limited face-to-face interaction, and very little mobility. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the new norm of practice. That is the keyword. If there is a new word that has been coined, which has become very famous in the last 50 days, it is the word the new normal. Now, our transition to post MCO. What my submission is COVID-19 has actually propelled the legal profession deeper into the digital age. There's not going to be a return. Why? Imagine this. If the Bar Council or the Johor Bar had organized a webinar, say about 2 months ago, how many of us would have participated? How many would have actually suggested or insisted that there should be a physical face-to-face seminar and this webinar all will not work, all right? But then here we are, after 40, 50 days, we are now, almost all our seminars are conducted through webinar, and we have become quite adapted to it. So the other thing that we have changed is, that we have noticed is there is a race amongst the firms, the law firms, to adopt new technologies to increase competitiveness. So COVID-19 has propelled the legal profession deeper into the digital age, and the firms have also started to adopt new technology because all of us realize that in an environment of little face-to-face interaction, safe distancing, the best way to move forward is by harnessing technology. So firms are actually racing to adopt new technologies in order to portray themselves to be more visible and apart from other firms. If you want to know, just check out on the web what's happening. Check out what are the big firms, the big boys are doing. So you'll get an idea of that. Now, the striking thing is this. Firms that have embraced technology before 18 March, they are now in the leading position. Firms that have already implemented virtual workstation, digital document management, cloud data storage, teleconferencing, and paperless workflow, even before 18th of March, will now be in the leading position. They will now be driving the practice. We will be following them. All right. They are basically going to they have raised ahead. I think that's the position. All right. They are in a better position than most of us who may have taken a very conservative position and cautious position when it comes to technology. So if we continue with the same cautious approach and conservative approach when it comes to practice, then I'm afraid that these firms, especially the small firms, will lose out. You must recognize that the landscape has changed, the administration of justice has changed. These firms must also change. Otherwise, those firms that is in the leading position they will overtake us by far. So what can be expected in the new normal? Now, firstly, as I mentioned earlier, this will be a technology-driven practice. Technology will be at the heart of legal practice and administration of justice. We have seen, for example, with e-hearing, e-review has taken place earlier. E-hearing is now taking place. I think the federal court and the court of appeal has already indicated they are prepared to hear cases by way of video conference. They are prepared to hear cases by way of email online. So high courts and I suspect the lower courts will soon follow suit. So I do not think that the judiciary will take a step back once the MCO is lifted or once we go into practice. I think they are marching forward. What the judiciary has actually seen is that during the MCO, they would have been convinced that e-hearing is actually possible after all. If previously it was alien to lawyers and we were very cautious when it comes to technology, during MCO, it has been shown to us that e-hearing is possible, it is effective, and is attractive to lawyers. So I do not think that the judiciary will take a step backwards on this. So we have to be prepared for this. Now, not only the judiciary, clients and other stakeholders too now prefer to avoid physical presence in order to save time and cost. So if in the past we prefer to meet the clients in our office or we meet clients at their office or clients prefer to see us somewhere else, I do not think clients would have the same inclination after this, right? You want to interview clients, you want to interview witnesses, you want to have a meeting with the opposite counsel, or you want to have a mediation session and all that. I suspect all this will go through the digital means because all of us will be very worried of the threat or rather the risk of infection and transmission. So we have to be prepared for that in the new normal. Now, what else that I foresee is, excuse me, all right, remote working. Remote working is going to be the new norm. Working from home, WFH, remote lawyering, aided by technology, whereby physical presence at workplace is no longer a requirement. And I think if the two most important development that has taken place during the MCO period is actually remote working and also remote lawyering. Remote working basically means you lawyers and staff working away from the office. Remote lawyering basically, I understand this to mean that we do all our lawyerly responsibilities, lawyerly tasks from home or without going to court. So that would be remote lawyering. This will be the two major development that will be taking place, and this has to be aided by technology. Physical presence at the workplace is no longer a necessity. Practice will now venture towards a paperless environment. I think this has always been there, but there were not much takers. Only the big firms have been doing it. And I think in the new environment, this is the way to go. Hard copies and files would be a burden. I think we already seen some directions coming from the Court of Appeal and the Federal Court, where in some cases, I think cases starting from August and September, and when parties agree to hear the matter by way of e-hearing, the courts no longer require 4 copies of your appeal records. Only 1 copy will be sufficient, which means that they do not want the hard copies as well. All right. So this will be the new part of the new norm. There will be a relentless digital connectivity with the court, with fellow firms and lawyers. As I said earlier, there'll be no physical meeting. And one example is I just read a lawyer who had an experience with e-review, experience with case management for an online hearing. You are communicating with judges through WhatsApp. You're communicating with the other side lawyers through WhatsApp. You're having a WhatsApp conference. All right. So that would be a relentless digital connectivity. I think there'll be few letters and documents coming to court. Everything will go through digital means. There will be minimal person-to-person contact. You will no longer meet your client in your office. You will no longer have meetings with your fellow lawyers until all of us we feel safe to have a physical presence. Now, legal marketing and relationship building. This is part of legal practice, right? Especially firms that you do your panel work. All right, you're meeting with your banking customers, meeting with your financial institutions or insurance companies, part of your socialization. This, I think, will have to be driven by digital means as well. There will be less physical socializing in the new normal. Now, in the new normal, our view is small firms will be the most vulnerable under this situation. The big firms, I think they will be moving ahead. The big firms and the medium-sized firms, they will be able to move ahead. they will have less difficulties in moving ahead, in adapting themselves. Small firms, we could be facing trouble. Why? Small firms conventionally are very low when have low investment in technology. All right. I think when it comes to investing in technology, for most of us small firms, it is a one-time investment at the beginning of our setting up of the firm. Ask yourself this question. How many firms, the small firms, have document management software, cloud storage, video conferencing tools, infrastructure for remote working for lawyers and staff? How many of us have actually provided this before 18th of March? Now, I understand that some of the younger lawyers, very young practitioners, you are tech savvy, so you may have all this. But the majority of the small firms, the older practitioners, the more senior lawyers, they may not necessarily have this. So, what do? You have to spend more money, you have to invest more in technology, right? So, if you have limited financial reserve, this will basically cause you a problem because the focus of most of the small firms post 18 March will actually be on staying afloat. We are all worried, we expect the the income will be reduced, our cost will be stagnant, if not more. So the strategy, the secret has always been keeping costs low. But then if you stick to this, then how are you going to invest on technology? All right, you need to set up systems like, now I think it's a must to have a document management software, to have cloud storage, to have video conferencing tools, to have infrastructure to allow your lawyers and we as proprietors to be able to do work from home, which means that you may have to set up the necessary facilities at home as well. So these are the investments that small firms will have to make despite our limited financial reserve, right? Uh, Now, if you don't do that, what's going to happen? Clients may lose confidence. You will lose competitiveness. Small firms will lose competitiveness because if you're not up to speed, clients would not have the necessary confidence in us. Because clients will be wondering, hey, why some firms are doing Zoom meeting, some firms are doing, your Skype meetings and so on. You are not doing it, and you are still insisting for me to go over to your office or you want to come over to my place. When all of us we know that there is a risk of infection, right? That it is not safe to do so. So your client is likely to take the business and they will go to other firms who are prepared to do it. And this is where firms that have invested in technology and who are projecting themselves as having all these facilities, they will be leading the position. So we will lose out. Small firms, you run the risk of losing the race, sadly. So apart from that, my suggestion would be small firms also need to have a clear business plan and strategy to compete post MCO. When we go back in today's time, the game has changed. Practice has changed. Technology will be driving the practice. So you have to relook at your practice. You got to look into ways to reinvent your practice. What are the lessons? The digital transformation that has taken place in legal practice over the last 40 days have actually surpassed the transformation at the bar in the last 10 years. Some of us who are involved in trying to promote legal technology, we know that there's been strong resistance from the bar, the majority of the bar, because we are conservative by nature. All right, our practice is dictated by stare decisis, judicial precedent. No, you know what the joke is now? When lawyers do something, when you ask a lawyer, why do you do it? Our answer always been that, look, someone else has done this before, because that is our judicial training, right? So, but during the last 40 days, we have thrown away all that. We have adopted legal technology. We have adopted digital transformation. So in that sense, the legal practice has been propelled deeper into the digital age over the last 40 days. So my own personal view is this has surpassed the transformation at the bar in the last 10 years, right? With developments like e-hearing, virtual hearing, webinars, and so on. So the other advantage is this, the flip side of it is this 40 days experience have also shown that we lawyers, we are quick learners, because when we resisted something over the years and during the last 40 days, we adopted technology. Today's seminar, I believe that close to 100 have actually signed up. Now, even for a physical seminar before 18 March, it would have been quite difficult to get even 40 to 50 members to attend. And how come that? Why is it that within the last 40, 50 days, the numbers have shot up? Because we are picked up. We are quick learners. That is a plus point to us. So we can adapt and adopt technology if we want to. So hence, do not look at technology as something alien. So again, for the small practice, technology is the secret and the tool to compete for small firms. If you want to know how to push forward, how to propel your foot forward, take advantage of technology. Do not leave these lessons once the MCO is over. So what small firms should do? Firstly, my recommendation is increase your knowledge in technology, read out and try out the text personally, convince and convert yourself. Do not leave it to your staff. If you are setting up a Zoom facilities for your firm, Skype for meeting purposes and all that, try it out yourself. Do it yourself, experience it yourself. Now, before doing that, most importantly, improve internet connectivity. You have to invest more. The moment when we go back to the office, the first thing that we will look at, in fact, I would look at is actually how good is my internet connection? Do I need to upgrade? All right, do I have to get a faster internet? Because I know 50, 60% of my business will be done through the internet. So got to look into that. Put in place tools, technological tools for your staff, for your lawyers to work remotely. No, you may have to implement document management system, cloud storage, digital communication, and conferencing, because we know that not all our staff will be working at the same time. We may have to carry out staff rotation, right? So the bulk of our staff may be doing work from home. So if they don't have a laptop, they don't have a computer, how are they going to do your work, right? So you may have to start investing in having a system, facilities for your staff to bring back so that they'll be able to do work from home. You may have to assist them if they do not have Wi-Fi at home, if they do not have internet connection at home. You may have to look into that. You may have to invest money in that. Now, more importantly, and some of us might disagree with me on this, if you have rented your office in a place where the connection is poor, all right, in some taman or in a small town or in one corner of the town where your internet connection is poor, then you may want to consider, number one, will you be able to improve your internet connection? Secondly, if not, all right, if you're renting the place, you may have to ask your landlord to look into it, right? If there's no possibility of increasing or improving your internet connection, you may have to ask this question: do you still want to practice at that place? That's something that you need to look at, because we know that the bulk of our practice will be driven by technology. So the first tool that you need is internet. So you have to look into that. Now, one of the concerns that small firms always bring up whenever we try to promote legal technology is the issue of cost. Right? They always say that proprietors, partners will say that technology is expensive. Right? We don't have the money. This is the last thing that we want. We are all concerned with our cost, and you're asking us to buy technology. Well, my advice is do not be daunted by costs. Right? If you actually survey the market, you will notice that there is a wide array of technological tools that are available at affordable prices, and some are even free. All right, for example, if you take Zoom, Skype facilities, right, up to a certain level, you can actually do it free. All right, to my knowledge, if you engage a Zoom meeting with your client, I think for the first 45 minutes is free. All right, they don't charge you. You can actually use the free facilities up to 45 minutes. And in some instances, they even upgrade you. I've had meetings where after 30 minutes, we receive a notification saying that we have been upgraded and we can do it free with unlimited duration. So you may want to look into that. So choose a system that fits your size and budget. Again, as I said, do not leave it to your staff. All right, you must experience it yourself. Look for the tools yourself. Go to YouTube. All right, speak to the younger members of the bar, and then experience it yourself. Senior lawyers, all right, old practitioners, those who are already in your 50 years of practice, 40 years of your practice. Now, you might think that it is too late for you to learn something new. Now, I disagree with that, because I've seen lawyers who are in the 40 years and 50 years of practice who are very good in technology, even much better than younger lawyers. Now, if for some reason you feel that you do not have the capacity or you do not have the stamina to pick up this, no, you should hand over that task to younger members of your firm, right? If you have a young lawyer, if you have a champion student with you, you may want to push this task to your younger associates to accelerate the conversion to technology. All right? You ask them to lead the process in their firm. You will be very surprised as to how good they are when it comes to technological development. Now, again, online hearing, e-hearing is going to become the norm. What do we do? Start learning advocacy, e-hearing advocacy. We all know what advocacy is all about. We all learn. We are still learning in advocacy, and now we have to learn an entirely new advocacy in a new environment, e-hearing advocacy. So where do you go? There have been plenty of material written and made available over the last 40 days on the internet. Just download a few of the articles, read those articles, how you conduct cases. All right. I just read an article from India just before that, which says that, look, cut the rhetorics, right? Cut the showmanship of submission, showmanship in your advocacy. It's just purely facts and law now. All right. It is also advantage because there has been concerns that like when junior lawyers you go up against senior lawyer judges, they tend to listen to more to senior lawyers because of the sheer presence of this senior lawyer. That element may have been neutralized now by way of online hearing, so it's not really bad. Right? It may be something that we all want to look at. So read up on it. All right. I think from UK, there's already been about 4 or 5 well-known cases coming out in relation to advocacy and guidance on conducting online hearing. Be familiar with those cases. Right. For those firms with limited capacity when it comes to technology, all right, develop networking with other firms. If you do not have facility to conduct e-hearing, if you think it's not possible, maybe have a networking with your other friends who are good at it. Maybe you can share a system. So when it comes to conduct hearing, e-hearing, you can go to their office and do and conduct your online hearing from there, right? Of course, at this sense, I must take advantage to introduce the baby of the small firms practice, group law practice. Group law practice is actually an attractive option when it comes to this. So imagine if you are a firm, a senior practitioner's firm, which is not good at technology, you may not have that much of development. And this is the good time for you to set up a group law practice together with a younger practitioner who may have very good technological capabilities. So you can share those expertise. You can conduct your online hearing, you can pick up, you can learn from there with someone within your firm instead of you walking out from your office. Again, as I said earlier, you got to reimagine, reinvent your practice and your office. Increase your firm's online presence, right? Use the MCO time. Of course, we are towards the end of it. Use this time to revise your firm's profile, online presence and online profile. I think that's important because you want clients to be able to access you. You must be visible on the internet. On the office management and business front, I think you will have to revisit your financial planning. You have to re-examine your business model and your fee structure. Uh, I think this will be dealt with by Esri and also Ain later, so I will not go into that. Take advantage of the financial incentives made available by the government. The government has introduced several measures. Well, rather than nothing, I think there's something there. There's something good, especially for the small firms, for the one-man operations, one man, one lawyer, one staff operations. There are plenty of incentives available. I think you can take advantage of that to improve your financial situation in the near future. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I come to the end of my presentation. I guess there must be some questions. I would suggest that, Fadil, if you're okay, we take the questions after Esri and Ain has
Yes.
has completed their presentation. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Arjavalan. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, if you do have questions, I ask that if you're on the Crowdcast platform, there's an Ask a Question button. Um, Click it and put it there so that other people who may have the same question, they can vote it up so that the speakers wouldn't have to take the questions, repeated questions. Number two, we are on a little bit of a, what do you call it, lapse. It's a delay. That means when you hear this, we have gone 20 seconds into the stream. So I would advise you to put your questions early so that the speakers can address it. Because if you wait till the end, then we may have already ended the course. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Encik Ezri for his segment of the talk.
Okay, thank you, Dai. Thank you, Johor, for inviting us. So I just go straight to the topic. My topic is office management in the midst of COVID-19. So the content will be the definition of office management and also the effect of COVID-19 to business entities, and then C, the types of citizens, and D is five tips for working from home. Okay, what is the definition of office management? So refers to the process of planning, organizing, guiding, communicating, directing, coordinating, and controlling the activities of a group of people who are working to achieve business objectives efficiently and economically. So at this current situation, the more challenging thing that we need to manage is people, human beings, our staffs, rather than furniture and technologies, including clients. So due to this unforeseen outbreak of COVID-19, so office management has become more imperative than ever. So the effect of COVID-19 business entities. So the effect to legal firms in actual fact is that can be divided into three. So one is regarding our cash flow. So we are worried, panic even about our cash flow, and for sure it's about our health. And in order to look at both, we have to look at the restrictions that we are having. So we have to understand there is an economic matter that we have to address, and also a health matter, and that both things cannot be combined. If you are combining it, then it will create panic to you, and you cannot manage or plan properly on how to go about the situation. So first is the economic part. So the economic part is for sure is the cash flow, meaning that a lot of legal firms have faced this. My firm have faced this around 4 times, because in 1997, 1998, like that, 2000, 2003, 2007. So we have faced this kind of problem. So during the economic crisis, there is an economic crisis. So what we are facing in actual fact is an economic crisis. The other part is the health problem. So we do not want this COVID-19 to be there anymore, or we want to curb the outbreak of COVID-19, and the restrictions that will follow. Okay. So regarding cash flow, so questions to be answered. One must answer these 3 questions. What brings money? So in order to improve your cash flow, so the one part that brings money the most for legal firm is billing. That is how legal firms usually get money in. So that is an income part. Okay. So how do you manage your billing? That is something they have to look for. So a lot of people are saying clients are not paying. So we have a different types of clients. We have to, we cannot be generalizing everything now. We have to go in detail. So that this is the time for us to do that. So we have to go and look at things in detail. So you have to look at what kind of clients are not paying, and what kinds of clients they are paying, and so on. So for us, institutional clients do pay, still paying, but then if individual private clients, we have to divide them, because most of them are still paying, some of them are not. So it depends. You have to look at it, and then you have to manage how you bill them. So if you cannot bill them on apa ni, if your bill is around 1,000 ringgit, the fees is 1,000 ringgit, maybe you should consider to bill them around 100 ringgit or so. But then at the end of the day is to just improve your cash flow to meet whatever liabilities that you need to pay. So this is one part of the thing that you have to go to the drawing board, and then draw up, look at things in details. So number 2 is what brings problems, meaning that now we are in this, we are not getting monies in. At the same time, we do not want our monies to go out. So because of that, we have to look at the files, look at the liabilities that we are holding, look at the possibilities of people coming back to us, and try to resolve these matters. So this is another part of it that you have to look at. And the third one is what brings new assignments or job. So you have to know what kind of clients that you need to find or to get for now, because as I always say that in whatever situation there are always opportunities. So you have to really look for the opportunities that is being provided now. And if you cannot find it, then you have to really search for it. You have to Google and all whatever that you need to do in order for you to find the things, the opportunities that is relevant and are here at this current situations and moment. Because for me, I've heard a lot of, as we have a lot of friends, we have a lot of lawyers friends, and we can listen to them. Some of them are really worried because they cannot do their jobs because clients are chasing them. Some of them are really worried because they have no clients chasing them and they have no jobs. And then it goes on in that manner. So that is why it's very important for you to position yourself in order for you to be at the site that can provide you with opportunities. Okay, health part. So, so this is something that we have to realize. In actual fact, we have to be more worried when the MCO was not introduced, because at that moment of time, if everyone can still remember, it's around 1 month ago, most of the people are not bothered about COVID-19. They, 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 they take things lightly. They don't think that it will affect them in any way. So at that moment of time, where the realization of what is going on is at the low part, so at that moment of time, we should be very worried. Then when it comes to MCO period, what happens is that we are being educated about what is COVID-19 and what we are supposed to do in order to take care of ourselves and to try and avoid the COVID-19. And then we have been learning it for around 1 month plus. So now the government have decided to open up. So we should embrace it. So now is the time for us to put the knowledge that we have learned into the practical reality of it. So when we talk about social distancing, this is the time for us to practice it. Whether we can or we cannot, that is the challenge that we have to accept. So a lot of regulations and also advice has been given to us and is available everywhere, even in WhatsApp, the MKN, MOAH websites and all. So they have been teaching us how to manage our workplace, how are us to remain hygienic, and then maybe a few of the other things we need to figure out on our own, especially on handling documents and all. So that is another section that we have to look into. And people are saying that this in actual fact has incurred more cost for us to manage our practice. In actual fact, if you look at it, it can be yes or no, because there are certain costs that you have in actual fact eliminated, and there are certain costs, new costs that is coming in. If you look it in that manner, then you will understand that will improve your cash flow. Restrictions. So you have to identify what are the restrictions that you are facing and how to overcome it. I've heard a lot of lawyers, like conveyancing lawyers, we are having problems when the land office is not open. But then that is the ultimate thing that we are facing. But then before going to the land office, what are the things that we can do? So that is what we have to focus on. We shouldn't focus on things that we can't do, but then we should focus on things that we can do. So all these things, this is something that I learned, because there are two things that I believe when my teacher taught me that there are two things that can change you and your life. There is one is the book that you read, and number two is the people that you meet. And then he always give me books to read. So within a month later, I'll be reading one or two books, motivational, knowledge-based book, biography, and all. So this has taught me a lot, and it has helped me to go through this process, this period of time. So one of it is to look at things positively. One of the book that says that if you have a lemonade, if you have lemon, then make it into a lemonade. So this is what we need to do now. So we have to turn things that is negative, and we assume that is negative to us, we have to turn it into a positive thing. So types of citizens during MCO. There are 4 types. There have there will be 4 types of people who will be facing. There is our staffs and clients, and even maybe it's us. Because first kata is the one that is really worried about what is going on. So we must be ready to manage and make them feel comfortable when these people comes to the office and dealing with us. There are the people also that doesn't care at all. Say they don't care about this one. They are going around without mask and all. So we also have to make them comfortable when dealing with us. So all these fine lines, we have to really sit down. That's why I said everybody should go to the drawing board back, look at things, write down what are your worries and how to resolve it and all, make planning in order for us to go about our life after this with the new normal that we'll be embracing. Okay, so 5 tips for working from home. So this is from a bar council circular that has been issued out. So we will be working from home. My staffs all not everybody will be going to the office. We encourage our staffs now to work from home. So these are several tips that I can give you. So number 1 is that you have to stick to your daily routine, meaning that so you have to, when you wake up, this when we talk about working from home, I face a lot of people who always have problems when they want to start their own business. You see, when you are going to work, you are working for somebody, you have a certain things that do every day. So you wake up at 7:30 or 7, and then after that you take a bath, you do breakfast, and then you rush to the office, you punch in, and then you sit at the office, do work, coming back. So in actual fact, a lot of the things that you do is guided. But then when people wants to start to work on their own, they always have problems with discipline. They do not know how to put the discipline in their work. So in actual fact, a lot of people when the MCO starts, they do not know how to discipline themselves, because when they are at home, they feel that they are on holiday. So they do not know how to start the routine of working at home. Okay? So that is something perubahan budaya berlaku, and because of that, a lot of people cannot manage it. I have friends who have really closed down. They are not doing anything for the first 2-3 weeks of the MCO. So how you want to start out with the working from home is first you have to create your own discipline. How do you do work? Your this one, shower, dress up. So you don't wear your home clothes at home, because it's a working time. So you should put up your working clothes, or at least feel that you are working. So get ready to feel confident and motivated to start your day. Number 2, home workspace. So you need to put up your home workspace, meaning that there must be somewhere that you classify it as your office in your home. So it might be a table, there is a table and a chair, but it might not be like that. So it's up to you how you want to call it your office. Okay. So keep the environment clean and tidy, have a good lighting, use comfortable furniture, dress appropriately, reduce noise restriction, add indoor plants. I love plants. Right? Plants do give you good vibes. So I always have plants everywhere where I work. So working hours. So working at home meaning that you have flexibility in your working time. As what I've said before, there are people who are having problems in setting up their working time. They work until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because they cannot stop working. So that is one problem that people are facing. There are one kind of people who do not know when to work, but then there are people who work until they do not know when to stop. So you have to set your time, because you cannot be avoiding your families. You have to have a life. So this is something that you have to create. You have to set. You have to. You have to jadualkan, schedule it. Okay. So this is my working time. So I start work because I'm working at home. I start work at 10. So nobody should call me before 10. So if anybody calls me before 10, I will just inform them that okay, at 10 I'll call back. So something like that. So it's not necessarily when you work from home, you have to work at 8 until 5. It's up to you. So it's number 4. You have to leverage on technology. That's what Mr. Jaya has said. You have to look back whether you have the whatever that you need to do, whether you have the equipment or not to do it. So it's not necessarily you have to have a printer. It's not necessarily you have to have a computer. It's not necessarily you have to have a tablet. But then if you feel that it can help you in order to increase your productivity, then that is what you need to do. This, when you people do this, in the business term, we call it as investment. So you need to you make this kind of investment in order for you to increase productivity. A lot of people they have this thing in mind. Okay? So at this period, the productivity will not be much. In actual fact, if you can increase your productivity at this period, current situation, then you will be in another level in the marketplace, and people will know about you. People will look up at you, and people wants to know what you have done. So this is what your target should be, to be more, to be able to, like what my wife always say, to soar like an eagle, meaning that eagle always fly above whatever things that is hindering them. So if there is cloud, there is rain, they will always fly above it. So this is what we need to do, and the spirit that we have to have. So you can work on, like what Mr. Jaya has said, there are documents, softwares, and a lot of other softwares that you can look into. But all these things you can look into after you set your target, your plan. If not, it will not fit in. So you feel that firm A got a software managing their files, and then you simply go and take it and then try to use it. It doesn't work. First is that you have to understand how you work, what are your plans, then only you find softwares or whatever that is suitable to you. There are many of softwares that is available. So even this, like webinars, we have so many platforms that we can use. So but then what that we are comfortable with, so that will come only after you set your plan. Communicate. You need to communicate with everybody, and you need to communicate as if you are communicating in person. And by saying that, the best way to do it is by video conferencing. So even you call up your partner, even if you want to call up your clients, I encourage for you to use WhatsApp video or Hangout or whatever platforms that you want to use. But then just look at them, because it's so different. If because there is availability of such thing that we can use. So please use it. Okay, so you just recap. So I've defined the office uh, office management. I've spoken about the effects of COVID-19 to businesses, and I explained about the types of citizens, and also the 5 tips from working from home. So thank you very much. Dai?
Thank you, Cik Azri. It's funny what you say about productivity, because the peak hours for me to receive my replies are, between 11 to 2 a.m. Apparently, even from the even from the bar. So yeah, I guess people find their productivity hours during that time, and then All right. So next we have Puan Ain. I think she's around. All right. Okay, we're gonna give Puan Ain a minute to get on board. I think while we're waiting, can we take a few questions from
That'd be
the
good.
speakers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we're waiting for Ain to come in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cheju, I think your microphone is on mute.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pose these questions out to both speakers. If you feel that you have an answer, you can chime in. I think first I'm gonna take the ones from Crowdcast. We have one from Imran, and he asks, should we endeavor for firms to operate more from home in the future as a status quo, or should this just be a temporary position? That means after all of this is over, are we gonna, see this as the new norm without the disease? I assume.
You wanna? Azri, may I go first?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. My view is, I think that is the way to go. Working from home, working from home, I think is going to be the main feature of future working practice. In fact, I used to divide my time into this: the intelligence part of the work, the mechanical part of the work. I think we are going to move into an era where the intelligence part of the work may no longer be done in the office. It will actually be done away from office, because in the office we have too many distractions. So we'll probably do the deep thinking, uh, formulating, strategizing, preparing. If I put it in word, for example, submission, it'll be done there. And then you come to the office just to finish it off, just to do the mechanical part of it. Because most of the time, if we all recall, even now, before 18 March, the moment you start on a submission, what we always want is we have we are given 4 to 5 hours without any disturbance. Correct? No calls coming in, your staff don't walk in. Now, how many of us actually get that sort of advantage in a small firm? I do not get it. I've spoken to many of my friends from other firms. They said that you don't get it. In fact, what I was actually very curtly told by a very senior practitioner is, don't expect that. Because when you're running your own practice, don't think that you'll have 2 to 3 hours without being disturbed. That intelligence part of the work, all right, the loyally part of the work, that may have to be done away from office in future. Isri?
Okay, there are two things that we legal firms have. We never discuss about this. One is the business continuity plan, and number two, the disaster recovery plan. So because we don't think that it will affect us, but then what happened in actual fact have made us realize that whatever happens will happen to us also. So when we are talking about this, then we are talking juga about the office space. So in actual fact, we are using a lot of office space, of which we can shrink it, and then we can just shift it to the home, so we can just work from home about that. So when I talk about this recovery plan and the business continuity plan, what I mean is that there are a lot of digitalizations of documents that we need to do. There are a lot of crowd cloud saving. We have to save our documents.
Storage.
Storage, yes, storage elsewhere and all. So all these things that we have to look into in order for us to be successful in managing our workforce when we are working from home. So this will be something that people will start doing, because a lot of people are saying this is in actual fact it's a wake of a pandemic that wake us up on the reality of living in a borderless world. So it may happen again.
In
Thank
fact,
you.
if I just add on,
Yeah.
Isri, what's happening now may well be the first step towards virtual office. The need, the importance of virtual office.
Yes.
Yep. I think Ain
Okay.
is there already. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Panain, are you ready to join us? I think a video is frozen. Okay. What I'll do is I'm going to send her a personal message and see how that's sort out. So, gentlemen, shall we take another one while we are here?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. While
Okay,
waiting
all
for
right.
Okay.
Um, Now, what interests me, because a lot of my friends call me, and the many of them are senior lawyers, um, and there seems to be a form of paranoia, or should I say technophobia, the fear of emerging technology, especially among the more senior practitioners. On one end, they're wondering, how are we going to do this by video conferencing? But at the same time, they're video calling their children overseas on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
That's the
is
irony.
what is the barriers that practitioners or senior practitioners are having in respect of this development?
Uh,
Yeah.
okay. My view is I think it's the mindset. It's the mindset. And as I said earlier, I think it is imbued on us. We all want to follow, the way the nature of our legal training is we only do something in a certain way, it is deemed correct if someone else has done it in the past. Judicial precedent, binding precedent, all right? Although that is supposed to be the legal part of the work, I noticed that over my years, my short years at the bar, that seems to affect our way of thinking as well. All right. When you have a certain answer, when you ask lawyers, why are you doing it? Because that's how it has been done. Why not we do it in this manner? Then the answer would be no, it has always been done in that manner. All right. So I think it is a question of mindset, which is
Hmm.
which then brings me to the importance of the younger lawyers. You see, the younger lawyers over the last maybe about 5 to 8 years, I think they are actually trying very hard to break away from these shackles. They are bringing all kind of innovations into legal practice. They are the one who have been pushing for legal technology. They are the one who have been pushing for virtual office. They're the one who have been asking for more freedom when it comes to advertising and publicity. So I think there is a way forward. A change has actually taken place. It's a matter of time before the majority gets into the carriage.
Mhm.
Actually, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's because of the nature of our profession, because we always see things in negative, because that is how we draft legislations and all. Because we want to see how we want to avoid this and avoid that, and because of that is being embedded into us. So
Yeah.
this is us. You see. So in order to accept something that is new, we need a little bit of time, a little bit together for us to comprehend what it is and then whether it's good for us or not. It's just a matter of time. It's not that we are trying to avoid or trying not to
Mm.
accept it. It's just to understand it and then whether it's good for us or not.
Mm. Okay. All right. Puan Ain, thank you for joining us. I think you're having some technical difficulty on your end. So can we hear from you? Oh, I guess she's stuck again.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm not sure as to whether everyone can hear me.
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear
I
you.
can see you, Ain. Yes,
Jaya,
we can
can you
see you.
hear me
I can hear you. I
clearly?
can see you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. But that's the thing because I don't know why it shows on the screen that the internet connection is unstable.
Mhm.
Okay, in the afternoon this always happen.
Oh.
So I think that's the reason why the government is spending now 400 million ringgit, to strengthen the infrastructure that we have. I think our infrastructure is still need a lot of improvements. I'm staying in like 5 minutes from the KL, you know, KL 15 minutes from KLCC. So but this is how it is. Let's move.
I think
Like
we've lost you again.
that it
Oh.
has. Can you hear me, Fadil?
Yeah. You cut off slightly just now. Yeah. Okay. Now it's okay. All right.
Because the can you hear me?
Yes, it's a bit on and off. Yeah. I think what we can do is, Padai, to mitigate the effects of your transmission. Maybe I think we've lost her. So, gentlemen, shall we take another one since we have another question?
Can.
Sure.
All right. Okay, this question comes at Crowdcast. Tan Yan Yan ask, he's asking an opinion whether we should open or not on Monday because the government wants us to bear all costs should staff be infected with COVID-19. Since they can be infected at any time, this seems to be an unfair SOP. You know, should we be opening at all? I think that's the question.
Azri, I'll leave it to you to answer the question first, and then I'll take it.
As I always said lah, managing a legal firm in actual fact is a business. There is one part of it is a practice, and that we have to know our law and we have to advise our client properly and all. But then the other part is the business part. So the business part is the running of the firm. So whoever wants to open or not, that will be a business decision, and it must be their own decision. So it must not be something that is being imposed on them. So if they are comfortable in doing it, then they should. But then they have to really know and really manage the liability. Yes, yeah.
Okay. My view is this: the government has allowed us to open, right? And most of the larger law firms are going to open. Now, open is just a concept, you know. You can actually go there, open, let know that your firm is operating. You can still do your work from the house, all right? You can still attend to your emails, response to your calls. You know, the calls come to the office, get it forwarded to you. So in that sense, you are actually open. You are virtually open. You may not be physically open. Don't get your clients to come in. The reason why you do not want to open is probably because you are scared. Look, if the staff comes in, what if the staff gets infected? You are responsible. Well, you ask your staff to do the work from from home. All right. Get the documents sent. You know, if there's any typing to be done. You know, you have any the transfers to be prepared. Get it sent to the staff. Ask her to do it in the office, and then get someone to go and pick it up, bring it. So in that sense, you can be open. So you can open without being open. My suggestion would be, if I have to ask you the first question, should we open on Monday? My answer to be is, in view of the government's decision to allow businesses to open up, I think you should open. There is an option. Of course, you have the option of whether to open or not in view of the MCO. But if you decide not to open, the problem is most of the other firms are open. All right. If you're acting for the purchaser, if the vendor solicitor's firm is open, so it doesn't help you if your firm is open. If you're for the plaintiff and the defendant's firm is open, it doesn't help you as well. So in that sense, to go to the second part of the question, you do not have an alternative now other than not to open by virtue of the fact that most of the other firms are opening. That I hope I have made it clear. That would be my view. Hence why I have my reservations as well as to whether we should open. But then considering that, look, other firms are opening, and if I don't open, my client's work will be prejudiced. I'm left with no choice but to open. But I'm opening in the sense that, look, you can do a staff rotation. You don't have to work at full swing. You can work from home. So you can open without being open.
Okay. All right. I think Puan Ain, are you all right there? I think you need to unmute your microphone. Or maybe I can do it for you.
Okay, I do not know.
Can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. I'm sorry. Okay, I have
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Oh,
Is this because of the internet connection, Fadil?
yeah,
Yes,
most likely, yeah, because among us it's fine. I think what we'll do is I'll text Puan Ain.
Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me just. Okay, I have to use my handphone instead of my desktop. If you could help me, Fadil, if you could help me to open up my slides. I have forwarded it in the WhatsApp. Is it
Okay, sure.
possible? Sorry.
Yes.
Just now I heard that you were talking about as to whether we should go ahead and go on and start working on Monday or not. I have been seeing a lot of people, there's a pro and cons. Our firm, we have been applying for MITIS, trying to get MITIS approval for convincing corporate department to go on to work. The thing is, as I have been saying before this, we are actually in between the bank and the disbursements. I mean, the borrower, the bank has already go on to make approval for loans, to assist the SMEs, to assist borrowers in this very tight, very tight cash flow scenario, and we are actually in between the disbursement and the the bank and the disbursement. So I think we should be going, but uh, we have got to, of course, adhere to the SOPs. We have got SOPs, like we know that if we have less than 21 numbers of hi, Fadil, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the topic that I'm assigned to. We have listened just now, Jaya's talking about office management, Ezri talking about, how to manage your people. I'm gonna sort of sum it up in a 5 C's of survival. I call it the 5 C's of survival of legal firm. And we basically, it's not only applicable to small firm, but I think it's also applicable to any medium firm and large firm as well. Because at the end of the day, we need to survive 2020. We need to survive COVID-19, and I have give some sort of formula, and it's called the 5 C's of survival. Can we move on to the next slide, Fadil? Fadil, okay, all right. To me, when we talk about strategies, when we talk about survival, we need to employ certain type of strategies. And when we talk about strategies, we this strategy that we want to employ at the moment, we have got to, it is more like a reaction and respond kind of strategy rather than a long-term strategy. Why I said that is because, for example, previously we have got MITIS MITI has issued a circular, a guideline, and SOPs. And suddenly yesterday, for legal firm to start work. And suddenly yesterday, when the Prime Minister come up with another announcement, so we have got to think, to look at it, and then to react and respond to it. So it's more of a reaction and response strategy, that rather than a long-term strategy. So well, that is the immediate thing that we can do. Next, what we have is rebound. So how do we actually come back to work? And this has a lot to do with how do we get ourselves back on our feet. So we have got to have strategies, and these strategies are intermediate strategies, and we also need to have a scenario planning strategies, which is actually more like a long-term uh, strategy to be employed in legal firm. So if you can move to the next slide, Fadil. Okay, when we talk about these strategies, deployment of strategies, we talk about the 5 C's of survival. And this 5 C's of survival, a lot of people is saying, what? You are talking about collection? You're talking about cost? You're talking about all this, is it the right time to talk about this? So a lot of owners, legal firms, from my friends who called me, asked me as to whether can we still go and make collection at this point of time. So my advice to my fellow lawyers is, this is survival. This is a matter of survival. I think our client, if we have got collection that is outstanding, I think our client would understand that, this collection is very vital for us. And of course, if we can convey this message nicely to them, I think a lot of our clients would really assist us. Most of my clients, for example, they responded in email, and they try as much as possible to make some payments in that sense, to help each other during this COVID scenario. So other than collection, that's the first C. The second C is cost. So when we talk about cost, what we need to do is we need to look at our cost. And when we talk about our costs, we legal firm, a lot of us have got rental payment, we have got loans, we've got our staff to be paid, all the statutory payments. So with regards to cost, of course, we will try as much as possible to reduce the cost to the minimal as possible. But I heard that a lot of legal firm owners are thinking of letting go of staffs, and downsizing. So we have got to be caution when we want to when we want to strategize, because what, at the end of the day, we do not want to take short-term strategies, because at the end of the day, we have got to retain our people. When we want to rebound, we need them, so when we think about costing, please do take the humane approach to solve this cash flow issue. um, um, when we talk about cost reduction of cost, we know that, for example, government is giving out, giving landlord uh, the tax reduction. For example, if the landlord pays give some reduction on the rental or discount on the rentals, so do highlights to your uh, landlord that there is a possibility of them getting the tax exemption or tax reduction if they give you discount on rental. So there are other cost cutting, cost saving measures such as the wage subsidies, and KWSP. You can restructure your payment. You can pay after July, so July, August, and September. Provided that you follow the requirements, certain requirements. And even now, a lot of subscription, such as the bar council subscription, it has been reduced to 750 ringgit. Now we can pay 350 as by June, and the rest we can pay later. So all this is, so the way we must handle the cost part of our the expenses in our legal firm is by basically by taking taking all this information and prioritize which which cost that you can reduce, which cost that you can at the moment you can delay in making those payment. So the next one is actually cash. When you talk about cash, all legal firm require cash flow. Although we are professional, we are in business. So how do we actually make sure that we have got a healthy cash flow? So this cash flow issue, is, not only legal firm is having. I think all these SMEs are having the same issue of cash flow. And with the government initiatives such as the special relief facility, uh, we can because we don't even know when are we gonna, when are this MCO going to be lifted, and when our business are going to be back to the normal, normal ways where people have money to be to spend, in the economy. So in that sense, we have got to anticipate that there will be a reduction in our collection, in our business. So what in the meantime, how do we actually pay off all the expenses and costs of the firm? So we need to think about getting some financing from bank or financial institution. And so uh, in that case, maybe we can go to the next slide, Fadil. Can we go to the next slide, Fadil? Okay. Okay. When we talk about cash just now, when I talk about the strategies, it is immediate, intermediate, and long term. And we have got cash where we could go and get this bank loans or financing from banks. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Dale, can you help me to go? Not this one, the previous one, sorry. Dale, can you go to the previous one?
Oh, the previous.
I
Sorry about that. Sorry. Okay.
I think there's because I'm currently we are using the phone,
Yes, there's some delay.
so yeah, there's some details, the banks, but what I can tell is from my own experience, there are quite a number of financial institution banks that give loans uh, to legal firm. We think that, there's no way that the bank is assisting legal firm. My own experience, actually, from my own experience with Maybank, Maybank actually have got this special relief facility in their when we log in to our Maybank account, we have they have this application in embedded in the inside the account itself. For example, you can just click on the special relief fund section, and you can it is just a two-pager, what do you call this, application form, and once you submit, you will receive an email immediately to say that you have applied for this particular loan if you have got Maybank account. Okay, this is specifically for people who have got Maybank account, and you can choose how much cash flow that you require, or working capital that you require in the application itself, and they will tell you how much. Say for example, if you take say 250,000, you have got to pay monthly how much. So there is this facility, the special relief facility, and it's genuine, because from my own experience, we have managed to secure a loan from the bank, despite us being a small firm. So don't stop yourself from taking up this initiative, by responding immediately to all this that all these facilities that the government is giving to SMEs. So for the next we have got also, when we talk about cash, of course, not only we require cash for the working capital, we also require the cash to ensure that we have got the capability when we want to rebound, when we want to come back to the work place, or the market. We must ensure that we have got the infrastructure, the servers, and all these applications, in place, so that work can be, we are competent, we are capable of taking in the work during this period, during this COVID-19 period. So other than and also, of course, at the moment, a lot of webinars are being introduced and being in by bar council, or even the state bars, because we have got a lot of time, and we should utilize this time to enhance our capability, enhance our human resource, uh, 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 especially in terms of usage of technology. And of course, when I talk just now about cost cutting measure, please uh, uh, be sensible in when we take this action of cutting costs. Because of what? Because at the end of the day, say for example, you let go, some of your staff. This could have a long term effect on the confidence level of your own people or your own team, on your ability, or to sustain in a marketplace. So not only you have got to take care of the immediate things, you also have got to think of long term. So in order to build up this confidence, um, um, so we have got to engage all this, collection costs, cash, make sure that we have got the capability, and please do keep in mind about taking care of the confidence level of your own team, other than, of course, confident level of your clients towards your organization. So Fadil, can we have the last slide? Sorry. Okay, the last slide, sorry. Okay, all right. I heard just now Jaya is talking about litigation, and Ezri also touched some parts about conveyancing. Because I do a lot of conveyancing. I'm also in the KL Bar Corporate and Conveyancing Committee. We have highlighted, to the Bar Council Conveyancing Committee, the fact that now that's government has allowed us to work, and apparently some of the state land offices has opened, but I saw some setback there. For example, payment at the land office now is to be made by using bank draft. So this one of the, I think it should be moving forward, not moving backwards in that sense. Moving forward, what we propose is basically land office should allows for payment online, or because they already have e-tanah, they should move forward to deploy this infrastructure across, not only at KL Bar, but at the KL land office, but also the other state land office. A lot of we have got to engage with JKPTG, for example, to get a JKPTG to start. We can say that a lot of people say, we can do what we can do, but we must also look at long term. How do we move ahead with our transaction? We want to move ahead with the transaction. Of course, all these infrastructure such as e-tanah is already being implemented in certain states like Kuala Lumpur. So it should be accelerated, So that's in terms of land office. The other places such as stamp duty office, also now, I believe that they accepted payment online. So moving ahead, I think less and less physical presence are required. Like our counterparts in litigation, we should also in conveyancing practice, I think we should also be moving ahead with the online platform. Fadil, I think I am at the end of my presentation.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you, Caroline, for the insightful talk. So, to the speakers, we have about 25 more minutes on the platform. So
Right.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, we're going to have to go through the questions in a rapid fire mode. So I'll put up the questions, and you can chime in if you would like to answer. We have a question from Tan Vincent. He has amassed 7 votes. That means 7 people are interested in this. He says, recently some lawyers are offering free legal clinic online, or even has advertised on Google Ads. Where are we heading in the future? Do you foresee the Bar Council liberalizing such restrictions? I think Mr. Tan is referring to those publicity rules, I think. I put it forward to the speakers.
Azri lah.
Okay,
Azri
yeah,
answer
maybe.
first.
So, one thing that everybody must know is that we are putting up a new publicity rules, which have a lot. We has liberalized a lot of things, but that publicity rules is not there yet because it will be subject to the amendment of the LPA. So for now, we are having what we are having, and we are trying to make good of what we are having. So I think, yeah.
My view is, I think some of those digital materials, promotions, blitz, I think they're clearly in breach of the publicity rules, lah. Right? As it is, because the amendments are there, like what Azri pointed out. We have some amendments which is much more liberalized, but those have not taken into effect. So those firms that or lawyers who are doing this, I think you may want to look back at the rules, try to confine yourself within those rules, because non-compliance with the rules can amount to misconduct. But of course, at the same time, I think the Bar Council wants to move forward. Right? The Bar Council wants to liberalize the publicity rules, but not everything within our control because it requires approval from the AGC as well. So till then, unfortunately, we have to bound by the existing rules, which may not be uh, as advanced as some of our younger members would like it to be.
Mhm. All right, the next question we have is from our Johor Bar chairman, Ms. Shahrin. She asked, would
Madam
it be
Chair,
possible to set up, Madam Chair, sorry. Would it be possible to set up a pool of lawyers skilled in technology to help those of us lesser skilled in the setting up of an office system to equip ourselves for the times to come?
So the answer is yes.
Yeah, short answer.
I think
So,
yes, I agree with Ezri. I think the answer is yes. But then the next question would be who will be taking the lead? I think
Yeah.
it's only fair that at the state level, the committee should take the lead. I think we have the IT subcommittees and all that. Maybe
oh
you may
no.
want to take the lead, and I'm referring to our host. So,
So
yeah,
I just want to add in in actual
yeah,
fact we have to really know what are the technologies that we should have.
yeah,
Let's say one is the number one that everyone should have is registration of cases. So it should be done by on cloud, so that it is easier for you all to manage the files and also to look into it and to manage your cash flow if you have the data on your fingertips, of which a lot of legal firms are still having the logbook
yeah,
and then still
yeah,
looking at. So that will hinder the process of adopting technologies. Number two is the mindset of the staff. It's not easy for us to change the mindset of the staff to adopt whatever technology that we want to introduce. I have suffered loss, a lot of money I have spent, and then I can't do anything. I force them. I've even tell them that kata I will just buang orang, but then still they they cannot accept, they cannot adopt to the technology. So there are a lot of things that to be discussed for the technology to be adopted in each and every legal firms, because each and every legal firms, the way that we manage legal firms are different. That's all.
Ain, you want to,
yeah, do you want to weigh in?
especially on the convincing part, yeah.
Uh, that's the thing, because of what? Because convincing, as we know, we have got a lot of documents involved. I mean, our own experience, we before this we are lucky because of what? Because we have started to scan of or scan most of the documents that comes into the office, so it's all in the server, and when it's in the server we can actually work from home uh, in that sense. But we are also lucky because most of my people, my team are young people, so I'm actually
Yeah.
the most senior one, I guess. And so for convincing, I think moving forward, we we need to move ahead online to online platform, like our brothers in litigation. Otherwise, I'm not sure how it's going to be. For example, now we still have to register the charges, for example, at the respective land office. So I can foresee there will be a flock of, and we are not allowed to send our runners. We have got to go ourselves. Some of the state requirement is for the lawyer themselves to be to register the document. So these are the thing that at the moment we don't know how to respond to this yet. So ideally, of course, at the end of the day, everything is on the eTanah platform. We can do land search online, we can do registration online, everything is to be moved online. And of course, we can send the documents, the physical title and all that later, once we have registered. So, and make the payment online too. So instead of preparing a bank draft, so I think that's my take on the conveyancing practice, going digital.
I think in line of that digitization efforts, we have a question. I think it's the last question that's on the platform, but it has 3 levels. The question is that should there be more in-depth development into digital signatures and alternative methods for documents to be signed by clients, regardless if it's conveyancing or litigation? The speaker also asked, will there come a time where where another form of signature can be given as an alternative to the traditional method? And if so, how do we take into consideration clients that are technology illiterate?
Would you like to answer that question, Jaya? I think if I may, because what? Because one of my slides there states, execution of document by borrower is to be by way of, perhaps digital signature, ideally. Of course, at the moment, we do not have that. We have digital signature for litigation, and even for lawyers, we do not have digital signature for conveyances. So ideally, we would want to have digital signature for um, for uh, for lawyers, and maybe Jaya, you want to add on to that?
Okay. Last week we had a webinar on how technology can be devised, can be taken advantage in post MCO practice, and these are some of the issues that were raised. The same thing. I think coming back to that question, our laws at the moment doesn't provide for digital signature in all situations, so the laws should be amended. Our laws are lagging behind when it comes to digital signature and e-signature, electronic signature, because what I understand is these are 2 different things. The digital signature comes under the Digital Signature Act, but when it comes to electronic signing, it doesn't come under that. So some of us, where we have this, we have this signature scanned somewhere, and then we just juxtapose or transpose that. I think there's an issue as to validity of that. That is not digital signature. So to answer the question, number 1, yes, the law should be amended. If our laws had been amended, we would not have been having this problem. Our conveyancers, people like Ain and all that, you'll be able to submit your presentation without going to the land office. Singapore has done it, Australia has done it, New Zealand has done it, and they have done it like about 7 or 8 years ago, right? So the law should be amended. Now, the good thing about the MCO, if at all there is a good thing here, it is this. It has shown to us that the law must be kept up to speed with technology, right? Our laws, it is about time. I think the bar has been pushing for digital signatures for a long time, electronic presentation of transfers for a long time, but the authorities never listened. But I think now they realize that, look, we were telling all you guys, if this had been followed, I think we would not be having this problem. I think it's about time. MCO has actually told us, look, our law should be amended as soon as possible to overcome that. Until then, unfortunately, we have to suffer.
That's why
Uh,
we need a lot more engagement, I guess, Adri.
Yes.
Perhaps the Bar Council need to have more engagement with those authorities or agencies, and we have got to do it fast. As a stakeholder, I think we are uh, worried that there will be a hiccups in disbursement. For example, now there will be a hiccup in disbursements of all these loans, and there will be a lot of noise will be coming from SME against the lawyers, if they don't get their payments or cash flow to be rectified or to be disbursed immediately.
mhm. So,
Ezri, you
yeah,
Yes.
Chaz, you have anything
So,
to input on that?
if I'm not mistaken, I believe your Madam Chair of Johor Bar Committee is looking into it. So she is involved in this part of the thing for the bar. If I'm not mistaken, I
Mhm.
think she can confirm it with you all.
Okay. Last question to wrap things up.
okay? Yes.
The conditional MCO that we are under currently. Now, is there a positive business outlook coming out of this, considering that even our clients are in the midst of recovery? Everyone is in recovery mode. In fact, my first agenda is to make bills on Monday. Do you
Mine,
foresee this
mine as well.
government, this conditional MCO to bring any form of immediate commercial benefits to us as lawyers?
Can I chip in? So
Sure, sure.
I I just want to just share my experience. In 1997, 1998, there is an economic crisis, of which it was the interest rate when more than what is supposed to be goes up until more nearly 50%. So a lot of property purchasers, investors have hold on, keeping their money and then not investing, and because of that, a lot of legal firms and also businesses suffered. But at that moment of time, since I was just starting on, so what we did, we have these low cost houses clients. So low cost houses at that moment of time, there is a cap for the interest charge. So the interest can only be charged 9%. So it cannot be more than 9%. So at that moment of time, our clients are more on this buying low cost houses, and then when we are there to serve them, and then we did survive that situation. So what I'm saying is that it's about positioning yourself, and you have to do it immediately in order for you to curb the situation. You need to embrace changes. So when we talk about lawyers, we are not litigation lawyers. Right? In actual fact, in litigation, there are a lot of specialties or the expertise that you can do. So one is maybe the civil litigation, the other one is running down or whatever. So you have to look into the practices that can bring you businesses. So you can't be keeping statics and thinking that the things will work out for you. You have to make it work out for you. So you have to start exploring new area of practice, or even a different kind of practicing the area of practice that you are practicing now. So that is my take on it.
Mhm.
I
So,
agree
any
with
of our,
Esri.
yes.
I agree with Esri. I think it's time for firms to pick up new areas. If you've always been doing running down work, uh, you may want to look into other work. If you've always been doing family law work, you may want to pick up into other work. And there's an opportunity in this sad episode. If you're able to harness and you're able to portray yourself as a firm that is ready to even proceed and filing with the case on the first day when we open on Monday, you will be projecting yourself. The client calls you, hey, I've got this case. Can you go and file it? If you're able to show, we can file it, we're ready to file it. I think that is an opportunity for you to show that your firm is ready. It's a selling point for your firm, number one. Number two, move into new areas. And it's difficult to find positive. I agree.
Yes.
All right. I think we will be struggling. Our firm clients will be struggling. If you expect that you'll be paid immediately, I think that will be a bit unfair on your client. Your client may not like it as well. So sometimes what clients will expect in this situation is understanding. Because if you think you are in business with this client for a long time, this is a time where you render understanding to them. And of course, you also expect understanding from them. So maybe if you can expect your client, look, maybe you can't pay me the whole bill, but at least pay me something so that I can cover. I think your client will be very appreciative of that. You can look at it as an opportunity to show to your client that, look, I'm an understanding lawyer. I understand your position. Yeah. That's all for it.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. It's very insightful to have heard from all of you. And I think thank you for I think the total, we have about 116 viewers who are watching right now. So we look forward to coming back to work on Monday to clean our desk, but at the same time, please comply with the SOP that has been set out, and stay safe, and take care, everyone. Have a nice day.
Can I just say
Yes.
something, add on?
Yes.
I think, we are all in this together. I think a lot of the firms are wondering what's going to happen. I suggest we're all in this together. My suggestion is, which I'm also thinking of doing, I think all of us, when we go on that day, there's a government SOP. A lot of us overlook that you should have your internal SOP as well. All right. The trick is control the number of your staff. It's easier to control infection when the locality is small, your group is small. Draw up a list of 10 rules what your staff can do and cannot do in the office. All right. For example, the most important thing is this: do not allow third parties to come into your office, lah. All right. Your client, you got to manage your client, your dispatch, and all that. Draw up an internal SOP. Most importantly, buy your sanitizers, buy your mask, and arm yourself with a temperature taker. With that, I think good luck to everyone. We are all in this together.
All right.
Thanks, Fadil,
Okay.
for organizing
All right.
this, and to the
Thank you,
Johor
Fadil.
as well.
Very much.
Take care,
Thank you,
everyone.
Johor.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Assalamualaikum. Bye.